Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Africa Thrive Live. My name is Naomi Kirungu. I am based here in Nairobi, Kenya, and it's so glad. Can I just say Happy New Year? I promise this is the last time you're hearing that. And I'm joined by my colleague and guest co-host Malik. Hi, Malik.
Hi, Naomi. You know, the trick I've learned, you don't say Happy New Year now, you say, how is January treating you? So it's a sort of like saying Happy New Year, but in a different way.
Got it. Yeah, so Malik, welcome. You're the country manager at in AMI Rwanda, and that said, of course, you're based in Rwanda, and you're a new face here. So I want you to get to introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are. But before we do that, do you want to just welcome folks on who are joining us just now?
Yes, thank you very much, Naomi. I'm really happy to be with you today. And then I very much welcome to everyone who is joining us today on Africa Thrive Live. And welcome to everyone who is watching us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Drop a line or comments and introduce yourself, and we'll be reading your comments shortly.
Yeah, as you introduce yourself, we want to get to know about your business, so just drop us a line. So Malik, who's this new face? You know, we've on this show we've gotten a lot of feedback because we have a lot of the people in the Thrive community from Rwanda. They're like, we want representation. And we've also had feedback from folks in, I don't want to call, let me just say the other gender, the gender that I am not, about how we need more male representation on Africa Thrive Live. And voila, Malik is here. So Malik, tell us a bit more about yourself other than your super amazing hosting skills, because you came very highly recommended. Who's Malik?
Thank you. Yes. As you said, my name is Malik. I am the AMI Rwanda country manager. And really, Malik is a creative entrepreneur, if you may call so. And everything I do at AMI and outside of AMI, it's just to empower entrepreneurs. And a lot of things I really love about entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship. One thing is that how much really entrepreneurs really work so hard, regardless. You know, like we don't have a working schedule, and entrepreneurs always hold things to mission. You know, like it's you go in things with your mission and vision. And then the hustle mentality, really, that's one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur. And then having a conversation with entrepreneurs, like everyone who is on the platform here today. And it's also really hard. It's the journey of being an entrepreneur. It's not really easy in that perspective. So because of that, really, I don't like easy things. So and that's one of the reasons I like entrepreneurship, because it's just one of those things that it excites you most. You know, it's like a roller coaster. It's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, and that's what we do here on Africa Thrive Live. We have conversations with entrepreneurs, and I'm very excited about the two entrepreneurs we have lined up today. They are powerhouses in themselves. And Malik, we usually have a part of the show which we call Rapid Fire. And because you're new, yeah, it's the part of the show where we get to know our guests more. But since you're not a guest and you're a new host, we are going to do a bit of rapid fire with you. So this is how rapid fire works. I'll ask you a question, and you have to respond in less than 5 words to that question. Got it?
Okay.
Got it. Cool. So
Okay.
here we go. How would Malik's close friends describe him?
I think my friend will probably describe me in two ways, right? Creative and hustler.
Creative hustler. Perfect. What's something interesting you've discovered recently?
I think something I discovered actually this morning that is really interesting. So in Tanzania, there is a place called Mosquito Town. And the Mosquito Town is where people, Tanzanians, go to donate voluntarily their blood so that their blood can be used in some of scientific research when they are doing some science or testing in laboratory on mosquitoes. So that place is apparently it's called Mosquito City, which I did find it very fascinating.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. What are you most proud of?
AMI really, the work we do in terms of empowering entrepreneurs. For me, that's something that I would not compare to anything else in the world.
I like that. It's a shameless plug, if I can call it that.
You know?
And yeah, and welcome to
Yeah,
all those who
it
are
is.
joining us. Continue to just write on the chat where you're from, where you're tuned in, and what kind of businesses you're doing. Yeah. So,
Yes,
in case
thank
this
you.
is,
Yes,
go ahead.
yeah, I think just thank you. I can see a few people already have joined. I see Rafael Gitau. He's following from Nara Prison. We have Elijah. We are Afro Elfrod Services based in Kisumu. Thank you very much and then welcome to join us today. Kenneth Karuri, also thank you. We can see you. You're joining us from Nairobi. And also everyone else who is joining us. Really welcome to the platform.
Yeah, welcome. And in case this is your very first time interacting with us at AMI, AMI is an abbreviation that stands for African Management Institute, and we exist to enable ambitious businesses and entrepreneurs across Africa to thrive. And I want us to watch this quick video that highlights the work we do at AMI. Let's watch this. Yeah, that's just some of the work we do here at AMI. And in case you're not a part of the AMI Thrive community, do join us. Thrive is, as we call it, is a vibrant and ambitious community of businesses, entrepreneurs, leaders from across Africa. It's a community and that we created as a supportive space where individuals and businesses have the opportunity to network, to learn, to grow themselves, and to grow their businesses. So join us today, and details on this are on the screen and also on chat on how you can be able to join Thrive. So Malik, I know you're going to be introducing our guests today, and but before you do, allow me to give a bit of background on who they are and what they have in common. Yeah. So both Navalayo and Khadija were top 3 finalists of the coveted Africa Business Hero Awards. They'll tell us more about that. It's an initiative by the Jack Ma Foundation that supports and recognizes entrepreneurs who are making an impact. So social entrepreneurs who are making an impact in their communities. So just to highlight that this is a great opportunity even for people in the Thrive community. They've opened applications. So if you're a social entrepreneur out there and you want to be just like Navalayo or Khadija, go to the Africa Business Heroes website and you'll be able to apply. I know the applications, they've said to us in the Thrive community that they're opening up early entries particularly for Thrive members. So go to their website and register, and details will be on the screen. Yeah. So Malik, how about you tell us more about our guests today?
Yes, thank you very much. So I think maybe before I jump into introducing our guest today, I just want to introduce why our guest today. So we really know that when you run a business, right, you need investment, you need capital, and this is very, very important to your business. And there's a lot of forms that people get investment and capital in their day-to-day businesses. And then most of the very common are either you raise funds through friendship, through friends and family, or you get a mortgage or a bank loan, or you get a seed fund or any other sort of investment. But as the world of entrepreneurship is growing, we have seen a new ways of funding, and that is funding that usually comes through competition. And this is where people with brilliant ideas will usually go to present in front of judges who are representing different initiatives. And then through that, they really have to convince the world on how their business is viable. Their business probably has some elements in terms of women and gender empowerment, or has another element of social change. And then we've seen a lot of growth in this world as well. And then because of that, in this month edition of Africa Thrive Live, so we have two amazing women, Khadija, who is the CEO and the winner of African Business Hero Award, a founder of Praxilabs, and we also have Nava, co-founder and CEO of Enda Sportwear. So they'll be really talking to us today and then sharing their experience. Before I allow them to introduce themselves, I would want us to play just a little video to see more about the competition they went through.
Welcome to the finale of Africa's Business Heroes 2021. It is African time.
We see entrepreneurs that continue to come to this competition with so much passion
to build businesses that will help to shape and change Africa's future.
Just go and change the world and make it better. The real value is as we change the story of the continent, as we create the value that is needed in order to feed, to educate, to empower, and to build the right solutions for a continent of so many people.
Amazing. So you see, and most of these elements usually have something to do with changing the world, empowering people and making them great. So without further ado, I would want to introduce our first guest, Khadija. Would you please mind give an introduction to the people today?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you, Nami and Malik, for having me. Great opportunity, and always an honor to be with such people like yourselves, trying to change not only Africa but the whole world, trying to give more stories, more inspiration to others who can lead and do an impact in the community. So let me start by saying my name, Khadija Mohamed El-Bedweihy. As you mentioned, I'm the founder of Praxilabs. So basically, really, Praxilabs' end goal, or our vision since we started, is giving an equal opportunity for students everywhere. Not everyone has the same kind of resources or have the same luck, really. And because we want to change this, especially in STEM education, we founded Praxilabs, which is a virtual labs platform, giving the students the ability to practice as much as they need, experiments in biology, chemistry, and physics. And that would, so I will tell you more maybe in a bit about Praxilabs, how we change the students' learning outcomes, how we improve it, how we change their motivation and confidence inside the labs when they get just like see it as if it's a safe environment for them that they can access anytime they want, and really from anywhere they are, whether at home or at school or at the university, they can open their laptops and just enjoy and start practicing as much as they want. So this is what I'm doing currently.
Thank you very much, Khadija. This is really interesting, and also I'm so thrilled to see how you're talking about education with passion. Navalayo, would you please also introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Navalayo Osembo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Enda. Enda is the first company in Kenya and Africa to make performance running shoes. The reason why I love what we do is because I think every African country has, resources or talents that are endemic to them, and so I feel like Enda is showing the way we are tapping into Kenyan running to bring that greatness and share it to the world in an economic nature. So is there opportunity for other entrepreneurs to tap what is already available to them and also grow it globally? So that's what we do. We make shoes and yeah, it's fun.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, who else in the world will do a running shoes than not from Kenya, Yes, so the next activity is it's a quick icebreaker. Naomi, would you please take us through that?
Yeah, and let me just say to Navalayo, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. I always say in my heart, I'm Kenyan, but in my heart, I run like Kipchoge, but in actual sense, I can barely run. But Navalayo, before we begin, what is one thing in your bucket list that you want to do this year?
I want to go to the desert in Namibia and probably bungee jump at the Victoria Falls.
Wow. This year you're really traveling, Nava.
This year is Southern Africa.
This year you're traveling because during the dry run we were talking about how you're going to Egypt. So I think this year you're gonna do a whole Africa tour.
Yeah, Egypt is for work. Southern Africa is discovering Africa.
Got it. And for you, Khadija, what's one thing in your bucket list that you want to get to this year?
I hope I can do it, but I've always been wanting to do skiing. So I'm not sure yet, but maybe Sweden or something like that. I really, really love skiing so much, but I didn't get a chance to do it yet. So yeah, hopefully this year we'll do that.
Oh wow. I'm sure you won't be joining Navalayo when she's going to the deserts of South Africa. Khadija, will you please tell us how has your life experience shaped who you are today as an entrepreneur and even as a person?
Yeah. Whenever I think about that, I just remember my childhood, the whole childhood in front of me. One thing I always remember is that me and my sisters and brother, we've been raised in an academic family. So really like my father, uncles, everyone was as a doctor or a professor in the university. And I think I can't remember one gathering that we had in our small family even, that we didn't talk about education. Since I was like a kid, and it's not like just telling us to study, for example. No, they were always talking about, did you see this economy that developed itself? Did you see this country that suddenly changed from being like at the end, for example, of being developed till being the top? And just give us a lot of examples about how education is really the solution to everything. And my father keeps saying, just think about any challenge you want. Just think about diseases that we have in Africa. A lot of our challenges in Africa, they can be solved by having well-educated people and then starting talking about STEM after that directly, because I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but it's really behind innovation and behind a lot of ways to solve these challenges. So that's what made me who I am today. I've been talking about education since I was a kid, and then it ended by getting a PhD, and then finally finding myself, I want to change the lives of people around me by finding solutions to different challenges in education. So I think this is how I ended up here.
Wow, I love that. And I think I just want to commend you for your story, your passion, your impacting many, many women, many young girls, many young boys as well. And just to commend you. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I had never heard of virtual science labs until I met you. So I'm really looking forward to learning more. Nava, you've been on the show before, and I know you're very, very passionate about social impact. And you're very driven by social impact. Why? What is social impact, and why is it so important in our world today?
Social impact is important, especially for Africa, because I think if you look at the history, there has been a lot of extraction, and it's more of like extraction for profit. And well, if the community suffers too bad, it's kind of like a collateral damage. And I think if we are to look forward in terms of how to develop the continent, we have to, first of all, acknowledge all the shortfalls that we have based on the fact that we have a lot of resource outflow compared to resource inflow. And therefore, if we are to do business, we have to merge business with social responsibility, because already the market that is not, it's not at that critical level yet. And so I do think that if you're doing business now, you have to think of how you're working together with the community and how you're upgrading the community and helping them achieve their goals as well. I think there's no point having 2 millionaires and 30 million poor people. It's much easier when everybody is kind of like able to afford, and we can have estates without high electric fences and stuff like that. And so I think that we always look at the way out more from a political perspective, but I'm actually learning that governments have their own shortfalls and shortcomings because of how they are. But I do think the business sector has a very strong role to play. They have the capital, they have the means, they have the innovation to actually be part of development and lifting people out of poverty.
Yeah, I really like that, Nava. And the thing of making sure that you're not growing yourself and growing with the community. And I think really as Africans, this is one of the best way to literally change Africa and then give it a new face that we've been all waiting for many years. Maybe also jumping quickly to Khadija. So tell me, it's really interesting to see a social entrepreneur in education. And then usually these are things that are done by the government. Why education? And what is it, the problem are you really trying to solve in this sector?
Okay, thank you, Malik. I actually will comment or will continue after what Nava said, because it's very related again to social impact. I'll take it from the perspective of Africa. I've always thought about it like that. So Nava mentioned in her words things like we have talents, and I said that exactly in my beginning in the competition, in the beginning of the pitch, because it's very, very important that we know that we are not poor, for example, in Africa. We are so rich. We have a lot of natural resources. And one thing that people envy us for is our youth. We have the lowest and the fastest population, actually. And that's something, it will not change. It will actually even increase in the next years. I know that by 2050, for example, people are thinking that we might be half of the population in the world. So that's really huge. But are we making the best use of this? This is what I'm thinking about, to make the best use of our youth and stop the flood of our talents towards the advanced countries because we are not able to educate them. We must do something in education. If we keep the youth inside our countries, well educated, and they will just drive everything. They will drive the social impact, the economic development. I just feel that this is the solution to everything, as I was saying in the first question.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. This is really interesting, and especially the element of how do you really transform the talent into profitable skills, right? So there's being talented by nature, which is what we're talking about. And then how do we actually get the actual skills? And then I think that's really one of the great points that we African need to be able to explore our resources and then making sure that we are not letting everyone getting outside of Africa, of our beautiful continent. And then really coming back to you, Nava, sport is a very interesting business. And we've been seeing nowadays people emerging in different sectors when it comes to business. Why personally did you choose sport? And then what excites you about this business opportunity?
I chose sports because I'm someone who's very interested in sports, but usually as a viewer, not as a participator. Very important. And so the thing is, I've always enjoyed watching sports. I grew up in the military, which is one of few Kenya's employers that actually hire people to run, and to kind of like do sports. And so that's a background that was somewhere in the background. It was never something I said I wanted to do, but it was things that were around me. And back in my village where my father comes from, the nearest town is Eldoret, which was like our main town. And that's also a sports, it's also known as the City of Champions. So it's something that I think was at the back of my mind. And like just my journey when I went to study abroad, I was in London, I got to see Wimbledon. That was a whole experience by itself. My husband played for the national team for basketball. So it was just something that was around me. And so when I started looking at things that I could do, sports just kind of became that thing that was like, well, what could I do? Because I'm very passionate about it, but I'm also very passionate. The thing that really blew me away was the fact, especially tennis, like, okay. Anyway, there's so much to say. The summary is that there are different barriers of entry to sport, and running and football are easy because you don't have to get expensive equipment, for example, compared to tennis. And so what actually started me on this journey was trying to get more kids into tennis, and I discovered why it's such an expensive sport. So that didn't work, and I pivoted to running because I was like, it's a much easier thing. Why sports is exciting? For the sheer reason that sports by its nature is about your effort. Especially when you grow up in Africa, there's a lot of who do you know, who's going to help you and stuff like that. But in sports, it's not about where you come from, who your father is, where it's all about, did you put in the work or not? And I find sports, like the fact that it has that level playing field, is what excites me the most, that it's you and your effort. What excites me is that there's so many different levels of sports you can enter. Like if you can be the athlete, you can be the manager, you can be the events organizer, you can be the online platform, you can be gaming, so it's so diverse that I think we've barely tapped into it. And I also like it because a lot of the opportunities are online. So you're able to tap into it even without connections. Like there's opportunities that you can get into sports by your own effort. And I think that to me just presents a place where it's about me and my effort and how I can get there. And that's one of the reasons that excite me about sports.
Yeah, wow. You two ladies just inspire me. Like here I am sitting feeling, oh my goodness, can you hear them? Yeah, I'm so excited. And please, guys on the comments who are excited as me, please write your questions. We'll have them answer them. And welcome to all those who've joined us since I see so many people. Patricia, Christine, you're all welcome, and keep your questions coming. So, Khadija, I want to talk about the competition that you just won, the African Business Heroes Awards, because it's a big deal, and you won. So, will you please tell us briefly about how your journey was, and why do you think you won?
Yeah, sure, I would love to do that. When you just said the name of the competition and we won, it feels like as if it was yesterday. I was in that hotel attending the last day, and I can't remember except I think Nava saw me jumping and screaming, and I can't just forget about this moment. And yeah, I think ABH is really, really unique. I've been to several competitions, by the way, and global ones as well. We won before in Dubai, in the UK, for instance, but this one is completely different. And I'll tell you quickly why it was different for me. When people hear the word competition, and this is why I've been entering them, like you said, it's either money, exposure, mentoring, something like that. But you usually just like pitch in front of judges and you get to win or lose. But this thing, as you've seen in the show, it was like 7 months of working together, working with the other startups, working with our mentors. They were just pushing us to do our best and pushing us and pushing us. And it was like, I feel it was a journey of learning, practicing, iterating again, learning, practicing, iterating. And it was like, I feel that it's the first time that I was doing it without not really feeling grilled. For example, I felt like it was so much fun. Like the organization was so much about just enjoying what you were doing and enjoying learning, enjoying being better. I cannot say enough names here, but Jason, Michael, Tahira, a lot of the people on the competition were amazing with us, our mentors as well. So this is quickly my experience. And the next part of the question, which is why we think we won. I guess I owe it, and I must say that this is something I learned from my father. Of course, my mom as well, so this, if she heard this, but my father was always we were not entering anything just to be there. Like, for example, I know that some people call me competitive, but it's not the bad way, really. It's not like hating that other people win, but it's just entering something to win. It's not, whether it's, I was in basketball in the national team, for example, I was just fighting to win. In the school, in university, in a competition, don't put your dream to be just one of them. Oh, okay, it's enough that I'm one of the 10 people. No, like Nava, she was amazing in answering her questions. Honestly, I was just saying she was the best one in answering her questions to the judges. I loved what she was doing, and I felt so confident with what she's doing as well. I mean, it felt like we are there to win. It's not just we are there. So I feel that we did our best, and this is how we won. We just give it our best, really.
Yeah, I like that, and I every time on this show I interview women who've accomplished big things or significant things like both of you. There's always, for most women, a very strong father figure in their experience, and I really like that, and we are proud of you and what your dad put in you as well. And Nava, you were second runners up, yeah, like you the two of you were top 3, but over and above that, Nava, you raised $1.1 million as a business with Enda. Like, bravo. So please, congratulations. And I know when you were on this show before, you talked a lot about crowdfunding and financing, because it's usually something that a lot of entrepreneurs talk about. And experience, especially as startup businesses with very ambitious dreams. So will you please tell us quickly about that journey, and also what that journey has been and what you've learned from that experience?
Thanks. I feel like adding to Khadija's points, but I everything she said, I'm like 100%. It's just like if I close my eyes, they would be my words, because I'm also like I show up to win. I don't show up to show up. You know, you gotta go and you go hard, and I really really support that, and I hope that that's the spirit entrepreneurs go for. Life is short, so don't just give your best in every circumstance. Our fundraising journey has been a journey. Literally, it's been like a step by step. It started with kind of like putting our own savings and then going to pitch to angel investors who are our friends and family. And then we went to a crowdfunding. Then we did more angel investors, and then we finally got VC funding. So I have been through all of them. I feel like I've gone through it. I'd say, like when we started, it was very difficult because everybody's like, but you want to manufacture in Kenya, why? Like just go to the place where it is so efficient to do it in an hour, in a day. But one of the things that I always remember from my international development class is what does it take to lift millions out of poverty, not tens, but millions. And I do think manufacturing is one way to do it. Like it's been tried, proved, and tested. The only challenge is that because of the short history Africa has had with regard to post-colonization, we don't really have that infrastructure in addition to other challenges. So convincing people that this was possible was not, everybody was like, is it really possible? So nobody wanted to kind of like jump in and put their money. And so we first started out by creating the prototype with our own money. And once the prototype was just like one shoe, like that was it. Had one shoe and say, it's possible to do this. But then the next question was, okay, now we've seen you've done it, but can you sell it? And then now we had to figure out how to sell it. I have to say, though, from my experience looking at other markets vis-a-vis Africa, I feel like there's a lot of questions in terms of, is it possible? And I don't blame the investors, but I do think, like sometimes you see other companies getting millions pre-seed, like they haven't even proved the concept. It's just like an idea in someone's head. And that's where I always say, like, we have to challenge ourselves in terms of capital availability. That's usually the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs, us included. I think I talked to every bank, every microfinance, every person I could talk to in terms of finding money. And the answer was always an astounding, no, we're not ready. It might not be, it was like too risky. And I always say, if we can risk losing so much money in corruption, then we can risk losing money in losses by businesses, because we are losing it anyway. So why not lose it in terms of giving out chances? Because that was my biggest thing. I'm like, everybody's talking about entrepreneurship being very risky, but then we are losing billions and billions in corruption. And I'm like, why not just, invest? So I refuse actually to believe that there's no money in Africa. There is money in Africa. It is not directed to the people that need it. And we are some of those people who went through that journey. And so one of the things we figured out was we decided to do crowdfunding, because everybody else was like, we can't give you money. Back then it was very stressful, but I'm so glad we did it, because that's how we got our first customers. Like that's literally how Enda started selling globally, because we went to a crowdfunding platform and we said, here we are, here's our idea. Do you think we should exist? And we got a resounding yes, that this is a great idea that needs to exist. So the first time we did a crowdfunding campaign, we raised about $140,000. That was our money to start. And then the second time we got $100,000. The beauty of crowdfunding is it's patient capital, because you're just saying, I have a sample. If you give me 6 to 7 months, I'll be able to give you. So that's very different from a customer who's coming tomorrow and saying, I need you to give my products today. And entrepreneurs need that time. And that time will not be given to you by a bank, because it will they won't give you a grace period and stuff like that. So I do feel one of the things I would love to see is the development of crowdfunding as a source of business in Africa. Right now, we use it a lot for charity cases, which is not bad. But, I feel like when you look at other developed markets, there are crowdfunding sites for charity and there are crowdfunding sites for business. We need places where we go knowing that we are supporting businesses to grow. That's what gave us a chance to live, and I think it should be more. The other lesson I've learned is relationships are better than money, like so much greater than money. Money ends. That's why it's liquid. It's not created to kind of like stay in your hand. It goes. But if you're looking for investors, it's a two-way traffic. I think a lot of entrepreneurs in Africa are always looking for money so much, you end up making a decision in desperation, or because that's the first person you've met who said, give me 50% of your company, I'll give you $20,000. And I guarantee you, a few years down the line, you'll be saying, I made the biggest mistake of my life, because you are not looking at the value. You are so desperate. So first, don't make decisions in desperation. And secondly, look at the relationship. Who is that person? The same way because it's a partnership. Are they, going to give you benefits? Are they going to give you introductions? Or are they just going to be sitting there and saying, what do we do? You don't need that. And lastly, I'll say the third lesson I've learned is that good work attracts good resources. So that means if you're a business person, are you maintaining your books? Are you being audited? Are you having a clean bank account? Are you run your business the way corporates run their business? If you can't find an accountant, find a lawyer, have contracts, have receipts, have all that stuff, so that when someone comes to invest in you, there's that confidence that this person is not just going to take my money and go on holiday, or this person is not going to be given this amount of money and the entire company crumbles because they've never handled that kind of money. So if there's one thing I would say is processes and structure. That's for you and for your business, even regardless of who comes in. That will be the key resource that will make someone say, I think I'm interested and this is something worth investing. So you really need to be on top of that as well.
Wow. Can you please allow me to say that you ladies are really a true life of inspiration? Just from picking two things, like from Khadija saying that if you go in, go for the win. I think that's really the African spirit we need. We just have to work as Africans together, but we just have to work for the win. Really, we are not here to lose anything. And then just really listening from you, Nava, in terms of all the ups and downs of raising capitals, and then all the challenges. And I could not agree with you anymore. Like in Africa, there is resources, right? There is money. You just need to find the right way to convince people how they would provide these resources. Maybe just coming back to you again, Nava. I think you've talked a few things in my connecting to my next questions. If you have to summarize a few tips and an advice for African entrepreneurs that are listening to you that would also want to raise funds, either being a venture capital or a contribution or any kind of fund they would want to raise, what would be the top few advice that you'll give them that they will be like, A, B, C, D are the key if I need to convince someone to give me that check?
The advice I would give is, so there's this trick that one of my mentors taught me earlier on in my career. It's called the 4 W's and the 2 H's. The first W is why. Why are you doing this? Why are you raising this money? Like a lot of people fundraise, or they think fundraising is fun because you want to be the next person who's raised X amount of money. But when you know what you're fundraising for, then it's easy to know, are you going to go for small investors who are angels? Are you going to go for big investors? Are you going to give them a convertible note? Are you going to take a loan? So the why is so important, so that even, like, are you giving working capital? Is it an asset? That's super important. Then now once you know, okay, why am I raising money? It's now, what do you need, right? There are some instances you can get grant money, like ABH, for example. So that one is, like an earmarked. It's up for you to decide what you want. Usually not easy to get, but it's also, what else do you need? If you need, if your idea is going to take you 1 or 2 years to implement, you need patient capital. So you basically just want like long-term investors. And then the third W is who is investing in you. Again, as I mentioned before, that is so critical, because that person is going to be in your business forever. So you have to be very clear who they are, what's their motivation. And then also the fourth W is where. In terms of where do you want to, when you're kind of thinking about your business, in which area is that money going to? So that, is it going to marketing? Is it going to sales? Don't just collect a pot and figure out what you want from it. Like, just figure out where that money is going to do. And then the 2 H's are how are you going to do it? So the how now comes, it'll help you think, am I doing a convertible? Basically the instrument of financing, and that will help you research more into what you want. And the last question, which is so important, is how often, because sometimes you're so short-sighted. You're saying, if I can only do this, I will be very happy. And then you get there like we did, and then someone says, okay, now you have to go to the market and figure out how to do it. So I'd say that how often you need to think about your business from a long-term perspective. And you might be like, for us, we've fundraised through all these different bits, but it's based on different milestones that you have. And also how often allows you to think about ownership dilution as you fundraise, that how often. Okay, yes, sometimes it depends on the amount, but it also determines control of the business and things like that. So it's the 4 W's and the 2 H's, and I apply that not just in business, but in every area of life, and it's been a useful tip.
Thank you very much. 4 W's and 2 H's. So people, if you don't know, this show is recorded. If you really miss taking note of this, you'll go back to our social media to listen to this 4 W's and 2 H's. Really, really important if you really need to raise money. I guess, Khadija, if I come back to you a little bit, maybe I think you may have something to add, because I guess you go through different challenges. Like, you are convincing someone to invest in a sector like education, right? What would be advice to entrepreneurs who are in the same industry that people would not understand as your industry?
Yeah, true. I don't want to be disappointing people, so I'll try as much as possible not to feel like pessimistic or anything. But I mean, I was going to say a lot of what Nava said, so I will just add to her. I will not be redundant and say the same words she said. So I completely agree with all she said. Very, very useful information, really, and knowledge. But I can add a very specific part before going into the education. So just the part I would focus on also, Nava, is where, so you said who, like which people you would go to, but I think it's also, so as you said, not only, it's not about the money, but what I saw in other startups like my friends is that sometimes it gets you huge connections and network that could get you even contracts and deals more than investment money. So see who are your investors connected with. They might give you $100,000, but they could know people in your industry who would get you deals, for example, with the MOE or governments in different countries, and you can go get deals with the ministries directly. So it's not only about the money. Think on the long term who they will connect you with. I think this was for me and for my colleagues I saw in other startups, it was sometimes even more crucial. So this is something I wanted to add. And the next part also, again, adding something related to what Nava said, is there are lots of sessions now on something called investor readiness. This is very, very important. Don't go to do fundraising without being investor ready. So investor ready, again, it's different according to your stage. Whether you're at the very beginning incubator, you will need something different than when you are going to an accelerator, and then when you are going to angels, and then finally to a VC. And the stage we are now, which is Praxilabs, and I know that it's the most difficult. I believe that this is the middle. So there are a lot of incubators and accelerators, actually, and angel investors. I think this is something we have in Egypt and the Middle East. And there are a lot of Series A and B and C, etc. But the seed funding, we have a lot of gap here in the whole region, and not only in the education. I'm just talking generally, and there is a reason for that, Malik. Like, for example, you already had the idea, so you could convince the accelerator that you have an idea, you have an MVP, for example, and you have a bit of traction. You have customers that are paying. But what the VC needs after that is that you must have a really very good growth and recurring revenues. But sometimes the recurring revenues and the growth need investment to put in to develop your product and get more customers. So it's like, I feel that it's the chicken and the egg, and I'm just going through it. Like, I keep going after myself. So I know that it's difficult. And as you said, education is even more difficult. And being, again, in the Middle East and Africa, it's even more difficult. So, I mean, like, I think I'm getting the extreme in education in the region and being a female founder, because, as you know, statistics, we just get like less than 10%, I think even less, from the founders, from the VCs. So my only advice in this is, as Nava said, try to see the different path with the different ways you can get funding. Be patient, don't give up, because we didn't give up. We tried to see different paths for funding. So till now, for example, we got more than $400,000 from competitions, and that's not a small number. This is almost equal to an investment that the VC can put. So till we are able to do the investor ready, which is being able to show really very good month-over-month growth and recurring revenues, and we are on this path now. We are almost there. We are believing that we could do this in 2022. We will be able to raise the VC funding, which Nava was amazing, and she did it before us. So I hope that I can go after what she's done. And yes, I just say, be patient and don't give up. It's hard.
Go ahead, Nava. You were gonna say something.
No, I was going to say she better give me a run for my money. I know she's gonna do amazing. Can't wait to see how she does. I know she's gonna do well.
Yeah, you will, Khadija. And just to go back to a topic that you alluded to in the beginning, Khadija, when you talked about STEM, and what role do you think STEM has to play in building Africa? And what advice would you give to those who want to pursue STEM as a career, or even most importantly, a business opportunity?
Yeah, I think I could talk a lot about this, but I can keep it very brief and to specific points. Now, if you look at the government's memos or like the agendas 2030 for a lot of our Arab countries, or 2050 for for most of our African countries as well, this is something that takes always lots of pages focusing on STEM. Why we need STEM? Why we need more graduates, but also more kids and more teenagers enrolling in STEM. It's known that this is the innovation of economic and social development, and it's just because if you say STEM, it's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So think about all the different really jobs, or so innovations, scientists, mathematicians, scientists who solve the challenges for us. So I keep saying the example of the scientists Ugur Shaheen. So finding the vaccine for the COVID is the first people to find the vaccines. These are scientists. So think about innovators, for example. Think about Braille, Edison. These people were STEM graduates. So I believe it's very important for Africa to have more STEM graduates. And one thing is, if you see the statistics, the numbers are very, 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 very low. It's like we have 1% of the whole world share of the scientific output, and that's related to the STEM. We just don't have enough, and we need to increase this number. We need to have better education. But also, I'll just quickly jump to the next part, which is why students would go in STEM, for example. It's not only because I said it's important for innovation, but even from the perspective of you as a person, just think about it. Now they are the highest in demand. There are millions of jobs that need to be fulfilled in the next year. So you definitely will be in high demand. They are the highest in terms of income. So they have income, or they are getting high salaries, for example. So this is important for you as a student who wants to go in STEM. And also one thing I was telling my colleagues when we were in ABH. Sometimes people think that STEM is only for the normal, or I don't know how to say it, the people who don't have disabilities. But we've proven in the reality challenge in ABH that the other people who have disabilities, like hearing or vision disability, we had scientists before, like I was saying, Braille or Edison, we had scientists who were blind or who had disabilities, and you still can go in STEM. And this is something we are now focusing on in our roadmap. In the next releases, we are focusing on allowing those students who have disabilities to use our virtual labs, because this is something they can do, and they can learn STEM without all the safety concerns that they cannot go to the labs, they cannot do because they cannot see. So just students need to know, or people with disabilities need to know, that education and going towards remote education and online education, which is really happening now, is actually something that is in their favor, and we are trying to help them. So I'm just ending it by saying that it's not only for the person who doesn't have disability, but it's for everyone in the world to go in this sector and help us change the world, because I believe STEM educators and STEM graduates are changing the world.
Wow, I like that. And you really are indeed solving a very practical challenge with your business, Khadija. So people who are listening to us on the audience, I know a lot of you are like, you ladies are inspiration, but do keep your questions coming in case you have any. We don't want to lock you out. Nava, just to loop you into the conversation, in your interview with ABH, you said, let me just quote you, there's a need to increase the awareness of existing entrepreneurs in Africa. What did you mean by this, and how can we make it happen?
It's exactly what I meant. I didn't know Khadija existed or the work that she did. I didn't know Ikena was doing what he was doing, or Violet, or like different people in different parts of the world, and especially in Africa, are doing amazing things. And I feel like we don't even need, you know, I'm like, I don't even need the media to tell me Africa is rising. I'm like, when I see this, I am like, yes, like, yes, this is what we need. And I feel like you get that motivation that, you know what, there's literally a critical mass of people coming up and doing stuff. And also, I think there's also the laws of attraction and synergy, right? Like, you only know what you know, but once you start being in the space that you're in and seeking out like-minded people, then you start finding connections, opportunities, introductions. And I think a lot of us we are very nationalistic in terms of looking at okay, it's a discussion for another day, but more of, we're very much made in, including Enda. But I'm like, we actually have to get out of that a little bit and start looking at what does it look like for Africa to kind of like work together. And so, yes, there's a need to kind of like increase that awareness so that we can do work together, we can have support. For example, as I said, I'm traveling to Egypt. Guess who connected me to the person who's connecting me to the factories? She's right here. And I'm like, I've been trying to Google information and it hasn't been helpful. But once you know people in other places, then it works. And so that's what I mean, like, before ABH, my knowledge of African entrepreneurs was, unless you're featured in like Forbes list or you're featured somewhere, like I didn't know that there was so much. But by the time we went through the top 50, the top 20, there's so many businesses that didn't make it that just blew my mind away. I'm like, oh my gosh, someone is doing this. They didn't get to win, but I do hope they continue, because if we do that, then we don't need help. Like I am like, you know what? We always say Africa is kind of like rising, but I'm like, I am confident because of this, the exposure at ABH and seeing everybody else. I'm confident you're on the right path. So it's important to know what other people are doing on the continent.
I think all I'm hearing from you both is that sharing knowledge, supporting each other, showing each other where opportunities are, and then making sure that we, as African entrepreneurs, we are thriving together. It's not. This is what I usually call a healthy competition. You have an entrepreneur as your friend. You are trying to grow in different ways, but you're literally in a very healthy competition, because you know that if my friends or these other entrepreneurs grow, and then this one is growing, and then it's an general Africa in general that is growing. Speaking about sharing knowledge, and as someone who's been through the hassle of being an entrepreneur, it's actually really hard to get to this opportunity, right? Because in our life as an entrepreneurs, we want to make sales, and I know it's quite a process of applying, writing. Sometimes we don't even know how to write, or we don't even know how to pitch. It's quite really demanding process. And this is a question from both of you. Maybe I will start with Khadija. Would you please share, the people who are listening here today, briefly, what are the tips, or what are the process they need to go through in terms of finding where these opportunities are, submitting the applications, and or navigating through the competition? Just briefly, anything you can share to them.
Yeah, I'll try to be concise and leave some time also for another comment on this, because I know it's very important to hear both sides in it. So I will say myself how I do it. So one of the things is I'm used to, in terms of investment or in terms of competition opportunities, just keep an Excel file. You need to have something written. So just keep an Excel file, for example, or whatever way you want to put it. All the different competitions or business opportunities. Whenever you are on LinkedIn or on Facebook or VC for Africa, there are lots of platforms now in the ecosystem. You can find these opportunities. You need to log them. So write all of them, write all the deadlines and the due dates for them. Do reminders on your calendar in advance with enough time to write it. So I keep, for example, adding, and so next month I have something that is, for example, the 5th of February. So I start early on writing, because it takes days. It doesn't end in one day. Sometimes it takes days. You need to create a video, for example. You need to get a recommendation from someone who knows you, etc. So I just keep this file, keep adding to it incrementally. Of course, if you have like interns, they can help you in that. You don't have to really waste your time on it. So maybe someone in the team can just do the whole gathering thing, and you get to it. So that's the first part, which is how to know the opportunities. But then the second part, which is how to submit or how to win your application. So before saying how to write, you need something to write about, right? So you need really the winning product or the winning solution. So just make sure first to have a winning product that solves a real need or real problem. Don't just think that it's good because you like it. Make sure you, as we all said, me and Nava, have traction, have customers, have social impact. Make sure to know what is your impact and just start writing. Then be clear, be concise, and never, because I learned that from all my advisors, and I wasn't ever going to do it, but I learned that it could just screw everything for you. Don't ever lie on a fact that is in the application, because you might think that they would not know it. Even if it's really nothing, they would know it. But if it's something they knew, and the whole ecosystem will just know, and you will screw yourself. So don't ever do that. Of course, other than integrity and ethical thing, just don't think that you can do that. And this is how I'm doing it. Like, I start early. I just put all the effort on the application to make sure that I can write it and submit it on time. Really well done. And as you said, Malik, it takes time. It takes a lot of practice. And just say quickly, I started practicing my pitching in 2018 when I joined Catapult Accelerator. It's the biggest in the Nordics. And they started teaching me. So since then, since November 2018 till today, I'm practicing. I'm practicing how to pitch. I'm practicing how to make my presentation better. You just don't stop practicing ever. Seriously, as an entrepreneur, and it's not only pitching in a competition. You will pitch to your customers, you will pitch to your investors, you will keep pitching your whole life. So just keep practicing.
Practice make us stronger and better. Maybe to twist my question a little bit to you, Nava, is that what would you? I'm sure that in your journey there is a lot of process with numbers and then finances. What would you share in terms of pitching for this type of opportunities when it comes to finance and numbers?
I'd say, oh, sorry.
No. Sorry, go ahead.
Cool. I'll finish and then you can add. I'll say you have to know your numbers really well, because I think there's nothing that really puts someone off as being asked basic things that you should know and you don't. What's the price? What's the margin? How are you making money? How many units have you sold? And things like that. So it's one of the things that I'd say would really put someone off if you claim to be pitching your business and you don't even know your business. The numbers are it, and it's where everybody looks at. We can all talk and have a nice presentation, but ultimately it's show me your finances, which is back to my original point of just make sure you're keeping good practices in your business and keeping good books.
Sorry, Khadija, you want to add anything on the numbers part?
I don't know. I was going to ask, is it for Nava or for me? Because I didn't hear.
Oh, okay, cool. This one is for you. It's actually a question that we have that we got submitted early. What's the biggest challenge, Khadija, your business has ever had to overcome? I know you've talked about the hurdle of raising money, but is there any other thing that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, so actually, in terms of the challenges, yes, that would be the biggest one. But it didn't block us. Like, it wasn't a blocker. It's something that affects you maybe when you start thinking that you are just there, but you need to scale quickly. So it's like an inflection point. Now I feel that I have the product, I have the customers, I have the traction. I really, really want to run faster. And running fast needs money. So this is sometimes a challenge, and it really sometimes is frustrating, because you know that you can do so much if you have the resources. So that would be the most challenge. But the second one, and I believe we are almost overcoming it in the last 2 months, and maybe I would just be honest about saying that the COVID was one of the solutions for us, or like it was a reason for that. Before COVID, we were trying to do a lot of mentality change and a lot of resistance management, because if you think about professors that we deal with, a lot of those professors actually are kind of old, so they have a mentality of no, the real lab. I cannot work outside the real lab. I only need the real lab. Your software is nothing, etc., etc. And they just might not give a way for you to convince them of the real values of the virtual labs, or I mean, for my product, for example. And we even had like numbers, we have evidence, we had things talking about learning outcomes, practicing how much it would enhance the students' experience, how much it would even save costs for the university, but they do not want to listen. And suddenly, I just say that every time I talk, because it's suddenly, the whole world is suddenly listening to you. It's just that they coming and just asking us whenever, it's not that we are approaching them. Now it was the other way around. People from different parts of the world, like we, in the first, I remember since March 2020, we suddenly found people talking to us from the 6 different continents, from everywhere in the world, and just going online and using our platform. And they were sending us messages like, thank you, we were locked, we did not have labs to start working on, and your platform made us complete the semester. So I think that this was the challenge that we had earlier on, but now we are actually, I mean, we were not the reason for solving it, I know, but we got lucky with with what happened, and we are now really leveraging that they understand our value, and we keep just we want them to try it, and then they will see the value by themselves. Like, at least we had a way now to let them try it, and they will say, okay, actually, even after COVID, after there is no lockdown, we now know, because we saw our students using it, and we saw the value and we saw the impact. So at least we could get to them.
I mean, Khadija, you just keep telling this story that's really amazing in a sense of the power of building an ecosystem, right? Because everything we're talking about is that we had these challenges. It was really hard for us to figure out. As soon as we started figuring out, we get more people to come and asking us questions. And then as they ask us questions, we are learning from them. I think this is really, again, a power of knowledge sharing, which is really important. As we are going to almost to the end of our conversation today, there is a question from the public, and this is for you, Nava. Peter is asking, which strategy do you use to make sure that you compete well, I think, and then same time you are maintaining the quality standard of your product?
Thanks. So I'd say we use different processes. So the first process is actually a government process. So the government of Kenya, through the Kenya Bureau of Standards, has put certain standards that you are required to meet. So for example, before we import some parts, they have to be inspected at the country of origin before they come to Kenya. So that already helps to sift out some things. And then the second process is the sampling process. So the sampling process, we usually design the shoes, make them, give them to the athletes, and we're just like, run as much as you can, like take it in all different circumstances. So I'd say for the product that you have, give the users and let them use it as much as possible. They will tell you the flaws, and then we fix it if there's anything, until we get to a point where everybody is ready. Number 3, we also have different experts. So we have experts who are very good at design. Others are very good at development. So they will develop a shoe. Someone else will touch the rubber of the midsole and say, no, the durometer is not the correct way, you know. And then also at the factory, there's the expert who knows what it looks like, what the complete shoe looks like. So we also rely on a lot of experts in our ecosystem. Some of them are independent contractors, others are people we work with. And so everybody knows what they're supposed to do. And usually at the factory line, we even have pictures of what the completed product should look like. And so that ensures like that's done. And even before the product now gets off the when it's being packed, someone checks. We usually do sampling basis. We're trying to figure out the best way to do it. So there are 1 or 2 things, but usually in terms of probability, we usually have a good probability. So I'd say we use existing systems that are there, and we also make sure within the team that we communicate the quality requirements as much as possible, and sampling, of course.
Great. Sampling, as you're ending on that one, and also I really liked about experts, because it's really important to always remember that even if you're running the business by yourself or with friends or partners, it's always very important to remember about bringing in industry standard experts to really help you to get to really good quality. So this is last question for you, Khadija, and this is a fun question. It's our rapid fire segment. We are getting into this, and you only have to respond each answer in maximum 5 words. So are you ready?
Yeah, I love the competition.
Great. So question number 1: how do your close friends describe you?
Okay, that's fun, but don't laugh at me. But yeah, okay, 5 words. So I'll choose the most 5 words I hear. Competitive comes number 1. Passionate, dedicated, friendly, but at the same time, it's related to people management. So very good in people management.
I think I'll have said the same word even just after this 1 hour of conversation. My second question: what is one skill that you think every entrepreneur needs or should have?
5 words as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll choose the most 5 words again. So I think I would definitely go first with perseverance, because it's very important. It's a very long journey. So you need perseverance and commitment. This is number 1. And number 2, number 3 would be open-minded. You must be open-minded. Don't, as Nava said, don't just close your mind and don't think of accepting advice. And yeah, be humble. It's very important as well, because you might be the best entrepreneur, but you need to be humble. Don't just don't love you or have an ego that hurts you.
Great. And then you went through a lot, Khadija, as from what you are really sharing as an entrepreneur. So what are you most grateful for?
Always and forever will be my family.
That's perfect. Nava, it's your turn. Ready?
Sure.
What's something interesting you've recently discovered?
I've discovered that your limit is not your limit.
Oh, wow. Nice. Trademark that. That's a tweet right there. What are you most proud of?
I am proud of my team. I am. That I am.
Oh, okay. What excites you about the future?
The challenge. Everybody keeps on saying it's not possible, and I'm like, watch me do it.
Wow. I like that. You ladies have just been amazing tonight. Thank you so much for giving of your time. I'm so proud of you and the fact that now I feel like I know you and your stories. Your stories have been such an inspiration. We are all really inspired. There are a lot of people in the comments who are just shouting out, and I see Tesh, Peter, Isaac, Emma. And I believe with this just 1 hour, you've really impacted someone's life, someone who was about to give up, someone who's going through a rough patch, or someone who their business is quite shaky now. You guys have really been an inspiration, and we are supporting you. We are rooting for you. And thank you so much for your time. Any last words before you go? How can people reach you?
I was waiting for you to go fast. Endasportswear.com. So that's the business website. It has like how to contact us. You can see our products, read more about our journey. So that's our website. You can reach us to there.
Great.
Yeah.
And for you, Khadija?
Yeah, for us, it's Praxilabs.com. So you can go there. You'll find also everything. You can chat live with us, and on our Facebook pages as well, you can find us. And I can have just one last comment to say. I always love to end any kind of talk I have with it, because it's something I believe in. So it's like a saying my father always told me when I was a kid. It says, so achievements are not done by just thinking about it. It's done by effort. And I've been saying that all the time, because you need to put hard work. You just need to really give it what you can, and it's not by wishful thinking. So it's in Arabic, if anyone is hearing us in Arabic, it's very known poet, and it says وَمَا يَنَيْلُ الْمَطَالِبْ بِالْتَمَنِّي وَلَكِنْ تُؤْخَذُ الدُّنْيَا غِلَابًا, which means just it's not by wishful thinking, you really need to do a lot of efforts.
Wow, wow. Thank you both. And please, the audience, take some time, like go to their pages on social media, like them, support their businesses, and you can follow their journeys there. And also, in case you're not part of the Thrive community, where we have such conversations from across Africa, Malik is in Rwanda, Khadija joined us from Egypt. Nava didn't tell us where she is because she's trouting around Africa. I am here in Kenya, and I believe Nava is based in Kenya. Join the Thrive community today. Details will be on the screen and also on chat. And also, just want to thank my guest host, Malik. Thank you so much, Malik, for your time. Any last words?
Honestly, this night has been just an inspiration. As we speak now, I'm just trying to find what will be my pair to that in from Enda Sportwear. So really, thank you very much, ladies. I'm honestly honored and humbled to talk to you today. I have learned so much from you, and I hope everyone who was listening to us has managed to pick one or two things that would help their business to grow and thrive.
Yeah, thank you, Malik, for helping us today and co-hosting this conversation. And to you, the audience, this wouldn't be a show without you. So hats off to you. You're always our most important people in this show. So thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, we have been your hosts, Malik and Naomi. Have a lovely, lovely evening. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.